Welcome back to the show, everybody. I'm your host, Arne Weidner. This is the Fit Executive Show. I am super excited for today's episode because we're going to talk about how to have it all today, how to have a fit body, a successful business, a great and fulfilling life, and how to get there. Basically, I want to give you the blueprint on what it's going to take you to have a 100% complete optimization in your life, and why, if you do that, that's going to be a huge advantage for you and for everybody around you. So it doesn't really matter what profession you are, doesn't matter what age you are, doesn't matter what you do in your life. If you embody this equation, I guess you could say, to level yourself up, you will be operating with an advantage that is going to be unfair, okay? And it's unfair because you put the work into yourself, where 98% of the population out there are not intentional. They're not thinking about this stuff. They are the people who want to complain about everything else going on, and they don't take responsibility. And so when I tell you, I'm going to tell you my personal philosophy on this, and I'm also going to go back and give you guys some examples about how this has played out in fitness, how it can translate into your business, and ultimately, if you're listening to the show, that means that there's a piece of you that, maybe a whole lot of you that's deep inside, that is interested in leveling yourself up to becoming the type of person who can achieve the life of your dreams. Right. And that's different than just having dreams or goals in life, because no matter what your dreams are or what your goals are, if you are ever going to actualize them, you're going to have to become the type of person who is capable of achieving those goals. Right. So most people hope to hit their goals. So let's say your goal is to have a six-pack at age 55, right? That's what the normal person does. They think about the end result as their goal. But that is just the first step. What we do differently here at Fit Executive Co. and what our clients do differently is that we reverse engineer the end goal into action items and behaviors. And then we reverse engineer further and ask, what are the underlying belief systems and thinking patterns that this person has? And that is what we focus on. And that is why you see all these busy guys transforming their bodies with us. It starts with the mental transformation, and then the physical transformation is almost like a byproduct. So our clients, like the Fit Executive tribe, so to say, they are enlightened because they know that they have to become the person who's capable of achieving the goal. So I was having this conversation with my coaching group the other day. I think it was 2 weeks ago. It doesn't really matter. But some of you listening right now are part of that group. And so you heard me say some of what I'm about to say. But I'm going to go into this a little bit deeper. Okay. So I want everybody to think about, if you were an athlete, okay? Whether that's, or maybe you just liked sports, or you didn't like sport, doesn't really matter, but you still can acknowledge some of the greatest players that have ever played the game, right? And this applies directly to sport, but then also to your business. And again, I'm going to make that jump to how this can apply specifically to you and to all of the areas in your life that are important to you. So also your relationships and stuff like that. So, back in the 70s and early 80s, and even before that, the only way that a person would play at the professional level was because of their ability, right? Everybody was separated by ability, or we can also call it talent, right? And then there was this, like, one more ingredient that was important. And like, if you're listening to this without the video, let me actually draw this out, how this looks like, so you get the priorities, right? But for the people who are watching this on YouTube, I'm going to draw this out. So we have this pyramid here. Oh, voilà, just lost my pen. Got another one. But we have this upside down triangle, okay? And at the bottom, there's this tiny amount of space right here, where if you think of the word talent or ability, let me actually write this down here. So let's put in talent. That would go right there, okay? And right above the talent comes the hard work. So I'm going to put that on the next level, okay? So we have talent at the bottom, we have hard work one above. So talent or ability plus hard work was the equation for a person to achieve success in sport, maybe even in business. And in fitness, we can substitute genetics for talent, by the way, right? So, but you will still need to put some hard work into it, plus those genetics. Genetics without work don't do anything, right? So you need genetics or your talent or your ability, right? So you can substitute those. And you will need to put in the work to achieve something meaningful, right? So I guess we're on the same page on this. And the reason I would stop there in this analogy or comparison to athletes is because I watched The Last Dance with Michael Jordan recently, and he arrived in the NBA early 80s. And he said as a rookie, he would go into the games and at halftime and right after the games, the teammates were smoking cigarettes and they were showing these guys like athletes, right? Athletes drinking beers right after the game, brushing the king cat. And there's this hyper awareness right now. If you're going to be the best, it's not just about the talent or the ability or the hard work. There's other stuff that goes into it, right? Like the top athletes that we admire today, like the LeBrons, the Tom Bradys and such, they are treating their bodies like temples because their body is the vehicle to perform, and it has to perform at the highest level. And if it doesn't, there's going to be somebody else to take that spot. And that's why this analogy for sports is so important, because for these athletes, their jobs and their livelihoods depend on them, right? Being 100% optimized in their bodies. This is what their success depends on. And achieving a level of elite athleticism and keeping their body on point, because if they were not to take care of it, somebody else is going to take their job back in the day, right? Because there wasn't a hyper awareness of what I'm about to get to, right? The ability plus the work ethic were the only two components that were at play there, right? We're still talking about the 70s and 80s, like the early Michael Jordan era. Now, hear me out, okay? I'm going to get to the point. After a certain amount of years, it became apparent that you could increase your ability through proper training. So now we have ability, we have hard work, and then we have this idea of physicality or athleticism. So let me put this on the next level for you YouTube for the YouTube audience. Athleticism. I know it's spelled wrong, but I had to abbreviate it a little bit. So this is the next stage of the pyramid. Now, people started to understand that if they put work in at the gym, they could increase their jumping ability and they could increase their speed and so on. So it's known that like a person's vertical jump can be increased, and we can decrease a person's 40-yard dash time. We can practice different drills, and we can bring out these qualities: strength, speed, power, conditioning, mobility, and we can increase a person's physicality so that they are better at their sport, right? Now it's a no-brainer. Back then, it wasn't. If you look at the Larry Bird, the Larry Bird era, not the fittest guy in the world compared to today's athlete, right? So it's a day and night difference. And so now we have talent or ability at the bottom. We have the work ethic right above that, right? And like, how hard is a person going to work? Makes a difference. Now there was this hyper awareness of the physicality, strength, speed, power. And now you can't go to any high school anywhere in Canada or in the United States where high school basketball players, baseball players, tennis players, like even golfers, right, are in the weight room working on the physicality of their bodies. everybody's in the gym working out. And then after physicality, the piece that comes next is energy, or the way we fuel our body, right? And I'm going to tell you how this relates to you right now. Maybe you're thinking, okay, cool, Arne, this is a cool start, but what does it have to do with me winning more in my life and winning more in my business and in my relationships? I'm going to tell you in a second, but I'm going to layer this out for you properly and give you some context so you can get it right. Because if you get all these pieces right, nobody can touch you in business, in life, or anywhere. And that's the whole point of up-leveling yourself. And so after physicality, back in the 80s and 90s, the idea of energy and fueling your body with nutrition and manipulating your body composition became more and more important. Because obviously, if you take 10 pounds of fat off somebody, they could absolutely run faster and jump higher. And so energy and using nutrition as fuel was the next layer, right? And this didn't even start happening until pretty recently, maybe 2010 or so. It became more mainstream in professional sports, that the way we eat and what and how much we eat can make a huge difference in our performance. So I'm giving you the kind of timeline now. Of how this stuff started coming onto the scene. So you think that it would be widely utilized and prevalent at the time, but it wasn't. Nutrition coaching in professional sports was very basic up until pretty recently, like maybe 10, 15 years ago. When someone had to lose weight, the coaches would tell the athlete to eat less. And then when someone had to gain weight, right, because they moved up a position in football, or they switched, they switch position. They were told to just eat more. Very simple concept, right? And there was no real discussion on exactly how to utilize the right type of food at the right time to enhance performance. So, for example, how many calories exactly should you be eating, and how much protein to eat, when to eat it, what sources, how to use carbs strategically, like when to use fast carbs, when to use slow carbs. Like how to use food as medicine to reduce inflammation and to speed up the healing process after an injury. There has been much more science on this in the last 10, 20 years. So I'm not blaming anybody back then, right? They did the best with the information they had. So, but back then, there was only this: you eat less, you eat more. And then that was kind of the extent of it, right? It was all about calories, but on a very broad, it wasn't dialed in. It wasn't a precision approach like we have today with our clients. So now guys have this understanding that if they want to be the best and they want to keep themselves in the game, they gotta optimize their nutrition, and they need to treat it as rocket fuel for their bodies, right? Even an athlete who has to go outside their own coaching staff to someone to help them and hire an external nutrition and performance coach, they will do that. They are hyper aware of the ability to increase this unfair advantage by layering certain things on, and things become more and more important. So some guys are going to get by on talent and work ethic, but then if a person can amplify their physicality and then also amplify that through impeccable nutrition and fueling of their body and their performance, the advantage gets bigger. Okay, the next and last layer, and also probably the most important one that I'm bringing you today, is mindset, right? How does mindset fit into all of this, right? Back in the day, it was something that you either had or you didn't have, right? Mindset was just this idea wrapped around mental toughness, your attitude. But you didn't really explore the depth of what made a person tick, right? So there was psychology that was mostly focused on what was wrong with the person, rather than the studying of why excellence in some people can occur. See, when talent is seemingly the same, why do some people go above and beyond and have better careers or better businesses when talent-wise and work ethic-wise and all the other stuff is pretty even? There's this mindset component that can unlock a person's potential and take them to a level that most people can't conceive. And up until this point, it was like, well, some people have it, some people don't. But now every successful team, whether you look at professional sports or Fortune 500 companies, they all have performance coaches and mindset coaches. And certain guys have specific guys that are mindset coaches that can reprogram limiting beliefs in a player, which can then open them up completely, like to completely new possibilities. And I'm still taking in terms of athletes, but I'm not stopping there. I'm also talking about you listening to this show right now, watching this show, listening to it in your car, listening to it on your walk. Maybe you're at the gym right now. I'm talking to you, okay? You specifically. What if you were to optimize every part of your life, like your career depended on it, like your bank account and your relationships and your future, like the quality of your entire life depended on it, the one life we get to live. Don't forget that part, right? We only get to eat one bite of the apple. We have this one shot, then it's over. Time flies, as you know, right? So what if you were to seek what you could become and you didn't stop relying on talent or work ethic like the dudes back in the 90s, 70s, right? The Larry Bird and the Joe Montanas. What if you did start to consider, no matter your business, no matter what you're doing right now, no matter if you think this has nothing to do with you or not, what if you were to optimize your physicality? What if you were to fuel your body with the ideal energy? So you showed up differently with optimal nutrition that is custom tailored to the specific needs of your body based on your individual biochemistry, right? Paired with the optimal hydration, and then optimized sleep, where we make sure that you get enough deep sleep and enough REM sleep so that you wake up refreshed and you're ready to go and pull out some trees, right? Like no more afternoon crashes. Like, what if you dropped the gut that is weighing you down and added some lean muscle mass onto your frame? What if you optimize your testosterone levels so that you feel like the 25-year-old version of yourself again? What if you upgraded your body's stress capacity so that you can handle the stress in your life better? See, these are the things that we do with our clients. But what do you think all these optimizations would do for you? What type of advantage would you have over a person who had equal talent as you or equal ability and then the same work ethic? And then if you go and you play the trump card, which is mindset, and you learn how to reprogram your brain, you learn how to spot how to spot and feel when you're stuck. You have the ability to bring awareness about what you're afraid of and what's keeping you stuck right now. What if you were to be able to rip out what's holding you back and just go unleashed? Because if you were to optimize yourself 100%, you would optimize all of your ability from the top down. Now your mindset would encapsulate everything. Your mindset would bleed into the way that you thought about fueling yourself and your body. That would amplify your results and your physicality. Your work ethic would be incredibly better because you'd be more capable, not just physically, but in your mind too. Better focus, more sharpness, better and faster decisions. And then your talent and ability would be amplified. And as you compete with other people in this world or in your marketplace, and it is a sort of competition, right? Let me be clear, there's enough for everybody. We live in abundance. We live in an abundant universe. Hard for my German tongue to wrap this around. But everybody can win, right? The thing is, not everybody's gonna win. Everybody can win, but not everybody is gonna win because they are not thinking about this. And so the reason I created Fit Executive is because I want to create guys who are true leaders for their business and for their families and who inspire others because they are living up to their fullest potential. And I want people to walk out into the world and be on purpose. I want them to pursue their mission in life. And I want you to be on purpose. I want you to get every single little ounce of your ability out of you so that you can actualize what you were put on this earth to do. And to do that, you have to go all in on yourself. And that doesn't just mean all in on your business. That means that you have to go all in on you. And that includes your fitness level. That includes the food that you put in your mouth. That includes what you put in your brain and what you put out into the world. And if you do that, no one can touch you. Okay? It doesn't matter if you're an accountant. It doesn't matter if you're a business owner. It doesn't matter if you're a top CEO. It doesn't matter if you're somebody succeeding wildly in life right now and you already have millions of dollars. I want you to ask yourself, are you completely optimized or are you not? And if you're not, even if you're already making good money, that doesn't mean anything because you're leaving stuff on the table. You could be more, you could have more, you could give more. I want you to imagine this one, right? I want you to just bring awareness to this one question. What would you be able to accomplish if you were to optimize 100% about yourself? Like what does it cost you every single day to walk around unoptimized? What will it cost you over the next few years and decades of your life? What will you miss out on? How much more money could you be making? What experiences and activities would you be able to do, right? How much would you enjoy life more? How much more would you inspire your family and your friends if you were 100% optimized in your physical game and in your mental game? And what if you were to adopt this idea that what you could become, you must become. And in order to become it, you have to take all of these things and amplify them to the highest degree so that you can do anything. That's what I get jacked about when thinking about my life. I want to become everything that I could become in order to fulfill the goals that I have and live the life that I want to live while enjoying every second of the process and enjoying my growth, right? And sometimes this growth is painful because growth is outside of our comfort zones. Like, be aware of that, please. But do you want an easy life or do you want a fulfilled life? Ask yourself, right? What fires me up is I know that there's room for improvement in all of those areas, in my physicality, in my mentality, what I'm putting into my mind, what I'm putting into the world. And I want you to think about that too. I want you to have the most unfair advantage possible because 98% of people are not going to think about any of this stuff, right? They think the world, like they think about ability, they think about talent, maybe a little bit of hard work. Like they blame everybody else for not getting what they think they should be getting, while you go all in on you and continue to actualize every single thing that you want in your life because you know where it starts and you know where it ends, and it all starts and it all ends with you.